and welcome back to the Building Your Brand podcast. And in this week's solo episode, I'm going to give you a little debrief of my time at Offfest in Barcelona. Now, if you've never heard of it before, OFF is a creative festival. It is a conference effectively that runs every year in Barcelona. They also do other events in other places the rest of the year, but this is kind of like the main flagship event. And this was my 4th year going. I've been the last few years, a few of them I've worked at. This one I wasn't working at, but I did end up making some content. So I was kind of working a little bit while I was there. And it was really, really good experience. I feel like my brain is absolutely buzzing with lots of thoughts, and I'm going to try and process them with you here in this episode. So the conference is over 3 days. It's set in Barcelona. And I think one of the reasons that it is really appealing is it really does have that kind of festival feel. So it's a lot less corporate. It's very creative. The venue is amazing. So it's an art center, art museum. I can't remember actually exactly how they would describe it, but it's like like a art building in Barcelona, very central, quite near the Sagrada Familia. And the way they have it set up is they have sort of 4 rooms. Rooms seems like the wrong word, but 4 spaces where they have talks running. But then outside there are 2 screens where 2 of the indoor rooms where the talks are happening are then screened outside. And there's these sort of steps leading up on either side in front of the screens. And so you can sit outside in the sunshine, because every time I've been, I think one year it did rain, but mostly every time I've been, it's been really sunny. So you sit on the steps, you can watch the talks on the screens. There's food trucks and a bar next to you. So you can sit, have a drink, have some food and watch the talks going on. So that does give it a really, really lovely festival feel. The atmosphere is always incredible. And I think that is probably why it's one of the most popular creative conferences that happens around the world. I think about 5,000 to 6,000 people go. Yeah. And it's very chilled, sort of people flow in and out of the talks quite a lot. The venue's a really decent size, so you can get a lot of people in, and they get speakers from all over the world. And I have to say, I have heard some incredible people speak there. This year, I didn't know of as many of the speakers, so I felt like it was very much sort of discovering some new to me creatives. One year, Jessica Hish was speaking, and I got to meet her. Last year, Mr. Bingo was speaking. So yeah, they have an incredible roster of people. I think the highlights for me this year, and obviously I couldn't physically go to all of the talks because a lot of them were on at the same time, but I went to one which was a panel run by Creative Review, which is a creative magazine, sort of, analysing what's going on in the creative industries. And they did a panel that had a really nice mix of guests. So it was people who'd been speaking, they'd been doing main talks, but then they were on this panel. And it was just so interesting to hear their perspectives on different things. And something that I've realized, and this is from hosting the podcast, the live podcast event, going to other sort of podcast recordings, and also this panel, is that I just really love the relaxedness of a panel. So there's something great about watching someone give a talk. They've practiced it. There's a story there. They've got something that they want to communicate. But on a panel, you kind of never really know where it's going to go. And I noticed that the speakers were very relaxed, very jokey. They obviously hadn't, I'm sure they'd been shown the questions beforehand, but they obviously hadn't prepared their answers in a really sort of formal way. And so it was just really nice to kind of get to know them, to get their real reactions to things. So I think that was actually my favorite session of the whole festival that I went to. 2 of the creatives, I didn't manage to make it to their main talk, but they were brilliant on the panel, and they were called Snask, and I would definitely recommend going to check out their work. One of the things that really struck me over the 3 days was people's attitude towards AI. Now, again, I didn't go to every session, but in the sessions I did go to, it almost always came up, but there was a very much a sort of ambivalence towards it, or almost like a boredom towards it. So in the panel, Snask were actually, what do you do if your client comes to you and says they want to use AI? And they were like, we say no, like we just wouldn't do it because they'd spent years honing their craft, like they have a particular process. So they do these very sort of like high-end campaigns, photo shoots. They're kind of like known for a particular style. And they were like, why would we want to get AI to do it? Like, we absolutely love what we do. We love the process. We love the challenges. We love the problem solving. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here. They didn't say it like this. But yeah, that was the kind of implication. And that was really interesting to me. And, everyone's got different opinions on AI, but it was kind of refreshing to hear people who were kind of at the top of their field really express, I guess, what I've been feeling, which is, why would I want to get AI to do something that I love doing? So that was interesting. And I know that there were other speakers who, definitely did talk about how they incorporated AI into their process, and some had some interesting use cases. So it wasn't like a universal sentiment, but I was quite struck by that. Like, people just seemed a bit bored and not that excited about it. So that was interesting. I think the other thing that really struck me was just how so many of the things we go through as creatives, and, when I say creative, I'm talking business owners, graphic designers, photographers, like everybody. I mean, I think everyone's creative, but everyone who's doing something where they're kind of solving a problem, I just think so many of the experiences that we go through are universal. So, people talked about how they dealt with like failures they'd experienced, what they did when a project went wrong, how they dealt with like negative comments. Like, people talked about haters online, like there was all these kind of different experiences. And obviously we've had them, they express themselves in different ways for each of us, but there was something very universal about that, and kind of comforting, that feeling where you're like, okay, it's not just me. This person over here is someone that I look up to, like I said, is at the top of their field, and they are talking about the same struggles and the same issues that I'm talking about or that I feel regularly. So I thought that was really encouraging as well. There was a lot of animation work shown. I think historically, Off was started as quite a film and animation focus. And honestly, that got me really excited and just made me think I really need to learn how to use After Effects. I mean, I'm not going to promise anything because I've been saying this for literal years, but when I got back, I did buy a course. I am going to have a go at making some kinetic typography, and we'll see where it goes from there. But it was really cool. When you just see people's work and you're just like, I have no idea how you did that, but it looks phenomenal. One of the other things that I absolutely loved was every year they commission a studio or an agency to create the sort of opening graphics for the festival. This year, they were created by an agency called Uncommon, and what they had done is they held all these different mixers with creatives, I think around the world. I'm not sure exactly where they were, but there was like a few of them, and they collected the sort of germs of, I guess, like DNA, the germs of people who had gone, and they brought in a mold artist. I've totally forgotten her name, but I'll put it in the show notes. She's a mold artist, and she basically took those germs, cultivated them. So the whole theme of the conference was cultivating. So it's just so genius. And they made these like beautiful like films where they brought the mold into the Off logo, and it was all like growing. I mean, it was absolutely stunning. I just loved it, the whole concept. The thing that I really loved actually the most was the piece of music they chose to go with it. Like, the whole thing together was just absolutely fantastic. I even saw, I don't know if these are available, but I would love one. But they had created a fleece that was inspired by the mold. So it had all these kind of like mold colors on, and it looked beautiful, and it said cultured on it in the Off typeface that they used that year. And then the other thing that they did, which was really nice, and I didn't see these in person, but I saw them online, for all of the speakers as a gift, they made ceramic Petri dishes, and then in the bottom, each one had a different glaze that looked like mold. Honestly, I just love all those little details. So that was really cool. The other thing I really enjoyed was every year I don't know how long they've been doing this for, but in recent years, they've done like this screen mapping project. So basically on the side of the building, which is a very unusual shape, but they obviously give everyone the specs so they can design for it. People can submit their work to be mapped onto the screen. And so at like 9 p.m, loads of people gather on the roof of the building and they watch this stunning parade basically of different work. I've took some video shots of it and I will definitely share it in the vlog that I'm planning to make, but that was really cool. So we just spent like an hour and a half just sitting there eating a pizza, drinking a gin and tonic and watching just all this amazing and massively varied work show up on this huge screen to a sort of backing track of music. So that was really cool. One of the things that really struck me about the conference, though, and I think I've noticed this about every sort of conference that I've been to, is that while I really enjoy the talks, for me, it's often more about the relationships that I build with other creatives. I guess networking feels like the wrong word. It feels more like just building friendships, building relationships with other creatives. And, sometimes opportunities come out of those, but sometimes it's just a bit of advice. Sometimes it's just getting to know someone better in your industry. And I think a highlight for me this time was I got to meet Katie Cowan in person. So Katie and I have been saying for the last year that hopefully we'd get to hang out at some point, and it finally happened in Barcelona. So Katie is the founder of Creative Boom, which is a very incredible website that has lots of content on it. So lots of blog posts, but there's just like so much more to it than that. She also has a podcast. She also runs a free community. She's doing a lot for the creative industries, and getting a feature on Creative Boom is something that pretty much every creative aspires to at some point in their career. So I was very fortunate that Katie agreed to come on my podcast, so I will tag the episode that I had with her in the show notes. And I went on the Creative Boom podcast to talk about podcasting, actually, and she's just amazing. Like when you meet someone online, you make friends with them online and you just hope that they'll be the same in real life. And she really was. She was so encouraging. She gave me some really, really good advice as someone who's like a little bit further ahead than me. And also we're doing, not that we're doing similar things because I don't run a website like Creative Boom, but we're both really into podcasting. We've both started vlogging. We both really care about cheering on and championing other creatives. And so we have a lot in common. And so it was just really cool to chat to her about all of those things. And I love it when you meet other people and it doesn't feel like it's a competition. It just feels like you're encouraging each other. And that's absolutely what it was. So yeah, that was amazing. I got to meet lots of other creatives, hang out with friends of mine. So like Karina Lindmeyer, Izzy Poirier, Phil Palin, some friends of mine from Cardiff came as well, like Matt Joyce and his partner Emma. And so yeah, it was just really good to spend time with people that I already know and then meet some new people as well. So those are my sort of takeaways from OFF. It is definitely a brilliant conference. I would absolutely recommend it. I think one of my only criticisms really is I think sometimes it lacks a bit of diversity in the speaker lineup. I want to see a lot more women speaking in the future. The first year I went, actually, someone did call that out from the main stage, the percentage of women speakers compared to men. I haven't actually calculated the percentage for this year, but I am going to go and do that. But yeah, I put that in my feedback form. I think it would be great to hear from more women. I mean, there were women speakers, but I just want more. I want to hear from more women. So yeah, amazing experience. I would definitely recommend, if you've got any questions, then either pop them below the YouTube video of this episode or send me a DM on Instagram. You can find me at Liz M. Mosley or at Building Your Brand Podcast, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about it. And I hope you enjoy hearing about these different experiences that I have. And I will be back with another solo episode next Friday. And thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all the messages I've had recently about how you're enjoying these solo episodes. So thank you for the encouragement.